Alright, with that cacophony out of the way, welcome everybody. Welcome everybody to Resurrection Cup 2026 round of 32. We've already seen some great matches today, but this one is quite spicy, the one we got on our hands, as we're gonna be watching Seed 16 versus Seed 17 play against each other. Quite intense on paper, and it's gonna be teams Nation against Age Like Wine. In the commentary booth, you have me, Philoxen, and I'm accompanied by the one and only Gamili Crayola.
Man, all of these years and you're still calling me the one and only? Yeah, you know what? I like that glaze. But yeah, Philoxen, I think we have quite the match on our hands. You mentioned before, right? On paper, the closest match that we're going to be seeing of the weekend. But I think upon further analysis of these two teams, we're starting to get... it's far from that, right? It looks like it's far from that, definitely. On the left side, we are on the Rose side, we have Evert, Turkis, Tim Power, Isak, and Kosarik. And on the right, we have Bubbleman, Rafis, Fedora Goose, Honda, and Musty. As you can see, a lot of name power is coming in from the right side. But I think, similarly, I think Rose is definitely packing quite a punch when it comes to, what sort of players they have. I think when it comes to the fame of both of these teams, or if you're comparing the fame of both of these teams from judging their players hit to hit, definitely, right? H Like Fine Wine has Bubbleman, Rafis, has Fedora Goose. You have a lot of new bloods, but you also have a lot of old veteran talent like Bubbleman and Rafis. And on the side of Nation, you have players who are lesser known in the tournament scene, but you also do have, that X factor in OWC champion Kosarik. So, Philoxen, I think this is going to be a very, very interesting matchup to see. And in essence, I'm interested to see whether this team truly aged like wine, or hey, maybe the New Bloods Nation will be able to turn the tables and show us what they're made of, show why they're only a seed away from aged like wine.
Well, let's hope that will happen. I mean, you have in Rose, you have those that stack of Finnish players, as well as Tim Power and Kosarik. And we can already see the strategy that they're trying to abuse here. But in AG2 against Iris, definitely a very much reasonable ban. Iris banning tapping against them. And, well, Raul just saw that and went directly into that no mod 2, especially considering they have Team Power, who got top 1 on no mod 2 in qualifiers. That's gonna be the name to look out for. This no mod 2 is quite different from the one we saw in qualifiers. This is going to be your Silver Boxer 244 BPM speedy bursty tapping map, unlike in qualifiers where you had streams. But overall, tapping mechanics is the main name of the game. And right here, I will not be surprised if we see some pop-offs from Rose. Also considering, Gamili, the pool of this round of 32 is of course lower than the one in qualifiers, so overall should be more accessible for Team Rose. And with that, my hope is with them, and good luck to both teams.
Yeah, I think you talked about how, we are expecting to see some pop-offs coming in from both of these teams. But at the end of the day, very good point. The SR is still low, so we are expecting these players to exhibit some level of proficiency across all the maps that we have. But, of course, we're going to be opening up with No Mod 2. It's going to be Burn Your TV. It's going to be on the faster side of your typical No Mod 2s. In fact, this is not a stamina No Mod 2. This is a speed No Mod 2. 244 BPM is the name of the game for about 2 minutes and 22 seconds. So a rather volatile map to kick things off. And already we're going to see the first miss coming out from Nation.
Yep, we do. With the intro out of the way, already almost first quarter pass, and so far, as mentioned, Tim Power is doing wonders with an SS right off the bat. The accuracy on Rose is quite great already, on almost SS from Turkis, and also 98 from Isaac, even though he missed. Doesn't quite matter, as we're now entering the first KI, waiting for more of those breaks from Iris, as so far they are the one having the upper hand, but Fedora Goose, the perma lobby player of Iris, is gonna be fighting the break, Gamili.
Yeah, that's right, and it's instantly gonna turn the tails back into the hands of Nation. Suddenly, that miss from Isak is not looking too bad for them, and they're slowly but surely bringing that scoreline back into their hands. Currently, it is teetering on a knife's edge, but it is going to shift back very, very soon, and there it goes. You're looking at, so much power coming in from both of these teams. In particular, I want to mention, incredible accuracies from Turkis and Tim Power. And that miss from Bubbleman definitely is not going to do Age Like Wine any favors when it comes to dictating the scoreline. Moving into the last third of the map, I mean, it's looking very, very good for them, especially as we are, getting into somewhat of the easier section, but not for long. We're moving right back into the next KI.
Yeah, Gamil, no, it's just about the stats. It's just about Rose doing their homework. They saw that Iris, not only they banned tapping today, but they also got seed 34 on Noma 2 in qualifier, so they knew what they were doing with this pick. Noma 2 is uncontested by them, with Tim Power leading the charge right here. Same for Turkish, actually. Both 99.5% accuracy, and also Isaac with a great recovery, almost 1k combo. On the other side, you have Iris. On the other side of Iris, you have Musty, who is still seeing the map, but the damage has been done way before the moment of collapse.
That's right. You're moving into the last sections of the map, and I think this is going to be a very, very clear-cut victory for Nation. A very, very good way to kickstart the match. Tim Power, unfortunately, finding that miss at the very end, but, a point is a point, and that was a very, very clean cleave on that No Mod 2.
Yeah, for sure. Off to a strong start. Tapping is definitely something they would want to try and pick into. Bad news, there are no other very distinct tapping maps that there are on the pool. For example, sometimes you expect DD3 to be, your finger control speedy map, but this time it's not it, and DD2 is already off the table, so might need to find a different angle of the attack if you are Nation. But that's some food to process for them for their next pick, because right now we are expecting a reply from Age Like Wine Gamili. What could it be?
I mean, I'm not too sure from this, right? It's always the typical duality between the mechanics team and the control team, and I definitely think that this is a composition that this is a matchup where we could see that same narrative play out. But alas, like with two teams who are on paper very evenly matched in terms of skill, there really isn't much. Really isn't much predicting, especially on an SR this low. We're expecting both teams to be relatively comfortable on the map. It's just a matter of consistency at the end of the day, and I also think that as a result, some of these earlier picks will just be opening up the map pool, seeing what these two teams can go for.
Yeah, and we're gonna be testing the waters with that No Mod 3 pick from Age Like Wine. Quite interesting choice, considering qualifiers they didn't get such high seeding on another alt map, which was No Mod 3 seed 21 is what they got that time, so was not on my list. But regardless of that, No Mod 3 is gonna feature a lot of control, obviously, snap out, flow aim, all that, it has that. And also some slider action, which is not the hardest on the map, but still, it's a good enough combination of skill sets that you are expecting all the players to be able to perform really well on. And, well, for Iris, looks like that No Mod 3 so far is looking quite promising, but you can never underestimate their opponents, because, once again, you compare their qualifier scores, and considering the No Mod 3 was quite similar in qualifiers to this one, except this one is even easier, Nation got seed 17, so on paper they should be as much comfortable as Age Like Wine.
Yeah, no, at the end of the day, I think this No Mod 3 comes from a place, as I mentioned before, of trying to open up the map pool, trying to open up options for Age Like Wine going into this matchup, right? Because your opponent is already taking a very firm foot on the tapping, and it does sort of open up rather close analogs on there. I say rather close, but it's not exactly the same, right? But it does open up the higher BPM maps in your DT1 and DT2. So I think Age Like Wine going into this No Mod 3 is looking for the counter info or the counter reconnaissance pick here. By going into this No Mod 3, it opens up the opportunity for them to go into other control maps in the pool, maybe like a No Mod 4 later down the line. But with that said, we're going to go into Heart Pie Dance Hall. This is a rather standard No Mod 3, all things considered, right? Nothing much to talk about. Just a bunch of flow aim with a lot of stat alt when we move into the KIs. Already we get to see a hint, and I don't think the map really slows down throughout its 3 minutes and 35-second drain.
Yeah, Real Dozen is quite long, so need to wait a bit to see some action from both teams, but overall, so far, looking at Iris, and they haven't changed their lineup from No Mod 2 to this No Mod 3, and those maps are quite different from each other. And overall, the strategy from Iris, the team synergy they have, is that they always send Babylon and Fedora Goose perma lobbying. That was happening in qualifiers, and then the third slot is just some people changing each other, and this time it's gonna be Musty who's gonna be finding the first break as we're slowly but surely approaching the first KI, and so far the long-standing duo of Team Iris are still here, but a triple FC from Rose is a big trouble.
Yeah, definitely, right? I mean, it's already going to put a lot of pressure going into this first KI, but if a miss were to come from them, it has to come now. There, down goes Tim Power. That's going to be the first one on the chopping block, so it's going to give H like Wine some opportunity to get back into the action here. Musty, however, that miss is not going to do them any favors, and with that, we're going to be standing at equilibrium. It's 2 FCs. It's 2 FCs to 2 on both sides as we move into the tail end of this KI, second half of the KI. I mean, it's the second half of the KI, and so it's just going to be down to whether they can hold, whether they can connect it to the next slow section. The flowing patterns are coming in to attack them, but alas, nobody is finding misses. Still, Bubbleman and Fedora Goose beating up against Isak and Eva, but towards the tail end of the tiebreak, towards the tail end of this No More 3, down goes Isak, and that's going to be a gaping hole for H Like Wine to dive straight into.
Yeah, here comes the break, and Iris, now that it is their pick, finally have a chance to prove everyone wrong. Was a double break from Isaac and Tim Power. Only Evert was an FC, and he knows he needs to keep holding, because even if Evert breaks, then, well, that's gonna be the final nail in the coffin. And so far, Iris looks like it's a two-man show from Bubbleman and Fedora Goose. Never mind, now is a break from Fedora Goose. They once again are on equal ground, Gamili. Only the last guy to separate the two, and so far, Rose got them in a pretty big trouble, as this is Iris' pick. They do not want to lose a breakpoint.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, right, they still have Musty holding down the fort. However, Musty does find a miss, is going to trade things up with Tim Power. So now we really are locked into the 1v1. Bubbleman versus Ibert going to the last quarter of the map. I mean, whoever misses next could just cause the scoreline to swing instantaneously. So Bubbleman needs to hold. I mean, a lot of pressure being put on the top row player right now, but still no action is happening. And as we move closer and closer to the last 8 of the map, the time is running out. That window of opportunity is getting smaller and smaller, as Ibert can only do so much as to watch as Bubbleman walks to the end of this map with full and complete confidence. I mean, Fedora Goose and Musty might be missing under him, but that window is going to be slammed shut by Bubbleman as we move into the tail end of the KI. It's going to be a very, very comfortable 150k going to 200k score lead in favor of H Like Wine to counter that very, very clean first pick from Nation.
Yeah, it was a bit shaky in the first half right there, and Rose did show that they were able to contest Iris on that Nomad 3, but after all, it is Bubbleman. The glorious captain of Age Like Wine is gonna set the record straight. It's 1-1. So far, nothing too surprising from both teams. With that, Iris winning that Nomad 3. You already mentioned they might go into some other control picks. For example, I'm looking at Nomad 4, maybe even some of the Hardoks, as they're just in general pretty much control heavy, the ones that we have here in the pool. And also Nomad 3, I would draw a parallel with that Nomad 3 and actually DT3, which is still a form of alt, but way more speedy, I would say.
Right, yeah, no, definitely. I think winning this Nomad 3 makes going into a higher BPM alt map all the more difficult, right? And the more that H Like Wine can limit the options of Nation, the better. I think, especially for this pool in particular, when the pool size is so small, being stronger at control, which is a more general bracket when it comes to like a skill set genre, as opposed to, just heart speed being a subsection of tapping mechanics. I think overall, right, being the team that has the advantage on all control maps is always going to be better. It's always going to give you more maps to play around with, rather than being the team that's just solely better at, tapping or being better at 240 BPM bursts. So I think going into the next sections of this map, going to the later sections of this match, we're gonna have to see Nation try to find some other way of attack. And I think this DT1 is a good example of such. It plays on some of the information garnered by or given by this Nomad 2 victory. It is a higher BPM, but it is in a whole different skill set genre, as opposed to the Nomad 2, which was very tapping intensive. This DT1, of course, focuses a lot more on that aim side. So still high BPM, but this DT1 is going to be testing aim. The whole different or on a completely different end of the mechanic spectrum. If this DT1 is won by Nation, I mean, it opens up a lot of avenues for them to go into stuff like the free mod one, maybe, the hidden one and hard rock one. These aim maps become all the more easier for them to pick into, and hence, winning this DT1 is very, very important for the information, especially if they want to guarantee easier points moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, I think overall, if Nation gets a DT1 and takes a point on it, we will have a really clear picture on the strategies from both teams, because so far I'm getting hints of Nation to have your classic, mechanics tapping maps, maybe aim, and Iris to have that alt/control maps that they will try to abuse in their next option. So that DT1 gonna be a really crucial map for both of the teams to understand what's worth going into next time. And as you mentioned, that DT1 is going to be very much different from Normal 3. Going to be about your speed aim, and also it's just in general a really old map from 2015. 260 BPM, and also it has those raw speed bursts, which might be a bit of a trouble for some of the players on the side of Team Iris. And also looking at Team Iris, it's the same lineup that we saw in the old previous two maps, so there might be a chance it's just 3 people who they managed to get in for this match, which, if Rose realizes that, it might turn into a really bad situation for Iris.
Yeah, I mean, forcing Musty and Fedora Goose on the high BPM map is definitely not something that you want to do in team tournaments, right? And already we're seeing the struggle come through in the sense that, the accuracies from H-Like-1 are simply just not up to par with what Nation can put on show. We're looking at 99.5 coming from Turkish, and Tim Power bringing the heat with the SS yet again. It's like it might be finding misses, but those misses from Fedora Goose is what's keeping the scoreline comfortably in favor of Nation. And Turkish and Tim Power are very, very good at keeping any sort of recovery from H-Like-1 at bay, just off the back of that massive accuracy. I mean, that's a whole third player in itself.
Yeah, Gabriel, I mean, the accuracies are just speaking volumes, and honestly, yes, you would expect Iris to put someone like Rafis, who's really good at those aim mechanics and overall high BPM tapping sections, but he's just not there. And the accuracies from Bubbleman and Musty, despite their FCs, are still, 2 tiers lower than what Turkish and Tempaver are bringing to the table right now. We're already 2/3 into the map, only the last KI is left, and well, so far we are waiting for any of the cracks on the side of Team Nation. That's the only way they can bring it back. So far there is a really decent recovery on Fedora Goose, so the hope is still here, and somehow the lead is actually not that big, Gamili.
Yeah, hope is definitely still alive, and especially given the nature of DT1s in general, right? This is a 2-minute 33-second map, so the scoreline is very volatile. If we see any misses from Turkish and Tim Power, that could definitely be an angle for H-Like-1 to steal this point right back. But of course, that's the win condition here. We need Turkish and Tim Power to find the miss, and even then, Bubbleman and Musty still need to hold till the very end. But of course, time is running out. We're in the last 20 seconds of the map, under the last 20 seconds of the map. Fedora, who's finding that miss, isn't going to do them any favors, just giving Isaac what it takes to just very comfortably escort this scoreline till its end, and that's going to be a very, very nice DT1 victory going to the side of Nation.
Yep. Once again, was not so clear throughout the map, especially when Fedora Goose was recovering that combo, but well, the miss definitely indicated that, yep, this is going into Rose, and with that, Gamili, we already know that Rose are gonna have that upper hand, gonna have that advantage on your overall mechanics, tapping and aim, everything like that. You just have it in the rest of the pool. You have Nomad 1, which they, by the way, got a really good sitting on qualifier, so that might be their next pick. And overall,
everything was banned out though. Was it? Nomad 1's not banned.
No,
it was the DT2. So yeah, I mean, H-Like-1 definitely respects the mechanics on the side of Nation here.
Yeah, seems like it. And also like other XX1 slots like HR1, HD1, just open a lot of opportunities right here. But, same could be said about Iris. So far, they already stood their ground on that Nomad 3, and well, I just expect another control map.
Nomad 4,
that was
you called it.
either Nomad 4 or DD3, and Nomad 4 is gonna be the dealer's choice here.
Yep, that's right. This Nomad 4, I mean, it's a Nomad 4. Early SR, the early stage pools of this tournament do feature some relatively standard skill sets at the end of the day, so really nothing much to write home about this Nomad 4. But again, I think for a while, Philoxen, we're going to see this back and forth between the control and the control and the hard mechanics. One thing I would like to mention is that going out of this Nomad 2 into DT1, they really don't have any hard mechanics maps that involve high BPM tapping anymore, right? Yes, you still have your DT3, but at the same time, that is still rather alternate heavy, so it is a bit dicey to pick into. And you were mentioning the XX1 slots before, but it's important to note that these XX1 slots are also the most accessible maps in the pool. So at the end of the day, we saw hints of it in the DT1 in how Bubbleman and I can't remember, it was Musty, were able to, in how both of these players were able to hold their ground on that DT1. But, and I mean, it just goes to show that if Nation weren't able to FC, that scoreline could have definitely shifted in favor of the right side. They only won that because of the accuracy. So with the volatility of that combo game still being left in the air, I mean, the segue or the pathway for Nation is clear, but it's definitely not going to be a smooth one. It's definitely going to be a bumpy ride. But yeah, we're going into this Nomad 4. I do believe that this is a lovely custom map by Ducky. I remember doing the replay or watching the replay for this one. And it's indicative of Ducky's style, right? Very standard mixed tech. And a banger as well.
Yeah, of course, sounds a bit like drum and bass. You have those, quite tapping heavy sections in the verses. So we have Mac Tech in the verses and Slider Tech in the KIs with just a bit of flow. So works quite great for Iris. And as I already got some information, yeah, it indeed seems like they only have 3 players into this match today, Gamillion. Overall, with my expectations about this match, they were quite one-sided towards Iris, especially considering Rafis did not participate in qualifiers, so I thought that they are definitely higher seeded than they actually got. But considering there is no Rafis, and as a matter of fact, no Hunter, missing 2 players down is not something you want to bring when you are playing against a team that is 1 seed apart from you. That definitely leaves me hope for Rose to maybe potentially even see a break point in this match, maybe even win. But so far, neither of the teams given an inch.
Indeed. Already, I mean, it's going to take a while, right? I think this is pretty standard with tech maps in general, where, the gaps between the differences between the difficulties of your KIs and your off KIs are very, very big. So it's all about how you can connect your KIs within each other in order to get large combos. But already we're seeing the first miss coming in from Isaac, and following that we have Evert being the next one on the chopping block, and going into the KI, I mean, that's already going to be 3 FC or 2 FC advantage. Going into H like Wine is going to be a 1 FC advantage with the miss coming in from Musty, but it is instantly going to be restored with Tim Power being the next one to go down. Bubbleman, that miss was a Bancho miss, so it's still a 2 FC lead on the side of H like Wine, really bringing the pressure even in the first third of the map.
Yep, and so far it was really rapid from Iris. Past the first KI, Fedorgus and Bubbleman once again. The deadly duo of Age Like Wine are striking right here. Potentially the strongest Austrian tournament player and the legend, the best tournament player of the past Bubbleman, are not letting, those relatively new players get a grip on the map, even though they're recovering through that verse, everyone on the side of Team Nation. But, well, you need a miracle to see Age Like Wine drop 2 of those colossal FCs before they go nuclear.
Exactly. I mean, Evert and Tim Power are doing a good job at generating that response, right? So if we do see a timeline where Bubbleman and Fedora Goose both find misses, I mean, it's definitely possible for them to come back, but that's just nothing but wishful thinking here, right? We're moving into one of those off KI sections that I was talking about, and it's only going to generate more free combo for the large combos in the lobby to continue to go up. And not just mentioning Bubbleman and Fedora Goose at this point, it's also Musty here, basically matching any sort of response, any sort of recovery that Nation can put on show. Slowly but surely, we're moving into the flowing section, and the time is ticking, the clock is ticking, time is running out for this miss to come out from Age Like Wine, and it doesn't look like we're gonna see them slowing down anytime soon, especially with that miss coming in from Isaac.
Oof, yeah, Gamili, into the last KI so far, this seems like the most dominant lead into this match. Already 500,000 and only counting as we're entering the more slider techie section. Let's see if Paul and Fedorgus can pull it off.
600k, man.
Oh my god, it's gonna skyrocket only either to try and stop the bleeding, to try and not make it look that embarrassing, but there is nothing you can do when even Musty, who already found a break, is recovering that 1k combo. They are feeling it today, Gamili.
I mean, it really says something when the lowest score of Age Like Wine is outscoring the top score of Nation here. I mean, this is a very, very good pick from Nomod 4. And it's in fact a reversal of what we've seen from the Nomod 2 and DT1s of the past. This time round, Age Like Wine not just holds the combo lead, but the accuracy lead as well. And I think it goes to show the duality of these two teams going into this matchup. I think the strength of Age Like Wine when it comes to the control, I think Age Like Wine is how do I explain this? How do I word this? How do I put this into words? Age Like Wine's, the gap between Age Like Wine's control skill over Nation is larger than Nation's gap over Age Like Wine when it comes to control. They have a larger advantage when it comes to control than Nation does on the tapping skill sets or the mechanic skill sets. But the thing is, right, we're running out of those tapping maps, so even Nation's comparative advantage in that sense is only gonna continue to be whittled down as the match draws forward. But with that said, let's see what they go in for. Let's see what they go for here. We're entering the mid game of this match, so picks are gonna start thinning out.
Oof, yep, and we have an almost instant response already, Gamili. It's going to be DT3, the one that I actually was, kind of expecting Age Like Wine to pick into as... Well, it's about your fast alt. Yeah, you maybe say that, yeah, it kind of has that finger control, but mostly it is about your overall aim control, about your overall sharp ability to just be able and combo game this map, because this one is quite punchy in terms of the section that it has. Those sliders, the overall stacked alt patterns at around 180 BPM, being really fast paced. Ooh, that's gonna be an interesting one for sure. And I think when it comes to Iris, they will definitely be able to bring a really strong opposition.
Yep. This DT3 is an interesting map, right? I mean, it's not your conventional finger control map. It's a Kendrick Lamar song, and every time you have hip hop in a pool, you already know it's some form of awkward. I think this map in particular, like Fliloxon, features quite a bit of weird sliders. I mean, we talked about it being rather alt heavy, but I also do think that the map is alternate heavy in the sense that it's really fast and you need to alternate in order to finger control, rather than it being your standard, we call them forum maps here, right? Your large spacing control maps, your XLD cells, your snap aim. I think this DT3 is definitely a very different flavor when it comes to control, and I think it does include some elements of finger control and alt heavy. So and it is definitely alt heavy for that reason. So yeah, we'll see if Nation will be. It is interesting to see whether Nation can upkeep their high accuracy scores that we've been seeing them put out on the DT1 and Nomod 2, but only time will tell. Instantly, we're jumping straight into the action here.
Yep, for sure. We're going to be seeing Isaac on the side of Team Nation, who is one of the strongest control players from the team. Turkis and Evert overall been really good on those DTs. So even though the secondary skill set of the map is demanding a lot in your control department, it's overall, it's still double time, something that those three players are proficient at, and it's speaking volumes right off the bat, Gamila. There is a double break on the side of Iris, only Musty to try and save the deal, save the day, but so far, Rose, they are just staying unfazed as we're already past the first third mark.
Yeah, I mean, the level of comfort speaks volumes here from Nation. I think they are instantly holding such a dominant lead over their adversaries on this DT3, and honestly, it's rather surprising, right? This BPM, the BPM of the map is not that high. It only clocks in at 165 BPM, but instantly we see, what, 5 misses from the entire lobby. I didn't quite get to talk about Musty, but in a matter of seconds, all fronts have been collapsed from the side of Nation, and meanwhile, Fedora Goose is the lone standing combo in the lobby, but he does go down as well, so still nothing is happening. It's just a tug of war, but Nation already has generated such a massive score lead that I really think that it's going to be difficult for Age Like Wine to bring this back with no combo to their name.
Yep, and that's how you do it. Just in the first half of the map, you hound through everything. And for Iris was just a bit unfortunate, but Rose, my apologies. I was not familiar with your game, right? You really thought that Age Like Wine would be able to contest Nation on this one, but did not happen. And so far, third pick going into Nation. Really good for them, especially considering it is their pick, and with Stangamili, is just gonna be pressuring you more and more the next pick, the further pick you are from the beginning of the match. But so far, they are not bending down and getting a third pick just right.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, already slowly but surely, the more picks that we're seeing coming in from both of these teams, the clearer nation's dominance or the clearer nation's kingdom becomes, right? They wanted that no more 2, and then we were like, okay, so there's no more tapping maps, there's no more hard speed maps in the pool, no more 244 BPM. And then they went into the DT1, and then it showed us that, on high BPM aim as well, they were rather strong, but there's no more high BPM left in the pool, right? So they go into the DT3. We were skeptical about this because H Like Wine won on the No Mod 3, and then they came out of this DT3 so incredibly dominant. So perhaps it's something more so towards tapping that Nation really benefits from. And slowly but surely, the more picks that Nation wins, the more general their strengths become, and you want your strengths to be more general, right? You want your strengths to encompass a large variety of maps in the pool. They already have exemplified complete and utter mastery and dominance on the tapping maps in this matchup, and so for that reason, I think going into this last pick, it's gonna look very, very good for Nation, no matter what they go, no matter how thin this pool becomes. I'm looking at that Fremont 3, but let's talk about the Iris side here. Age Like Wine have also shown extreme proficiency and extreme dominance when it comes to the control. So, I mean, what do you think they'll go for here, Philox? We have a few options that are on the table.
Yeah, we really do. Considering they showed a 1 million difference in that Nomad 4, I'd say I see the vision of picking that HR1, honestly, since it's all about sliders once again, and HR1 literally consists of a lot of that slider aim. They look a bit techy as well, and overall, this with Hard Rock is quite a challenge. But they are deciding to actually go into department we haven't really seen before. I mean, sure.
Yeah.
Frima 2, it still has that, it has those flow bursts. It has those cut streams, cut bursts at relatively low BPM. So you could say that they work as alt, but overall, it's free mod. It's anti-mode. CS5 AR8 is what definitely shouts at me. And, well, that's a whole different thing, even though the subordinary skill set is quite different. It is quite the same that they already used.
Yeah, definitely, right? At the same time, though, I definitely think that that Nation is no slouch when it comes to these free mod 2s. If you look at their qualifiers, right, and you look at their hit-to-hits comparing the Hidden 2 and the Hard Rock 2, you realize that Nation actually beats out Age Like Wine on both fronts. So you have the AR8 Hidden settled, you have the AR8 Hidden, you have a winning matchup on the AR8 Hidden, and you have the winning matchup on the CS 6.5 Hard Rock. So on paper, Nation actually looks rather favored to win this match. So going into this pick, again, Philox, and we were talking about it, right? It's uncharted territory. This is the most gimmicky map that we are going to see. Or no, this is the first gimmick map that we have seen in this matchup. So Age Like Wine are really taking a gamble, I would say, with this sort of pick. But I definitely do think that, they have the information, they have the momentum given those victories on No Mod 4 and No Mod 3 to justify a gamble or a pick like this one.
Yeah, Gamila, I think the idea they have behind this pick is that they saw Nation ban AG2, and, well, they just drew a parallel there that, well, Frima 2 is also AR8. Yes, you need to test your roster depth on this one, but that should not be an issue for Age Like Wine. We're seeing Battleman on HD and double HR from Musty and Fedoragus. Well, for Rose, we're seeing quite the same situation. It's a completely mirror distribution. Isaac and Turkish for Hard Rocks, and Ever, who's really good on those hidden maps, going into the hidden modification. And so far, the map is gonna be starting up, already showing what it has to bring. And so far, those bursts are becoming a pretty decent trouble for Musty, which allows Rose to have an early lead.
Yeah, already a pretty brutal beginning, and that was what I was talking about, right? That was the qualifier performance that I was talking about. Nation beating Iris, or I mean, Nation beating H like Wine on both the Hidden 2 and Hard Rock 2 already tells you or gives you a little bit of insight on the comfort level or the head-to-head comfort level comparison between both of these two teams. And already we're seeing Nation hold a rather sizable gap over H like Wine off the back of those misses coming from Musty and Fedora Boost. But hold on, never say never. That was a Bancho miss, but it does look like this one is going to be real. So now Turk is left on his lonesome to defend off against not just Bubble Man, but the two recoveries from the side of Musty and Fedora Goose. It's a Hidden versus Hard Rock matchup when it comes to the FCs, but both Hard Rocks are seething and they're hungry for revenge. Last third of the map coming in, and the scoreline is going to shift over to the right side, but how long is it going to shift for as Musty and Fedora Goose find those misses? They try to run, but they're not going to get far. But hold up, Battleman strikes down Turkish on the top side, and now going to the last quarter of the map, it's up to Isak and Iva to try to hold back the floodgate that is try to hold up the flood that is Bubbleman.
Yeah, after a series of trades, there's only Bubbleman and Isaac still standing on that battlefield, but Isaac dropping down on his knees in front of Bubbleman, who just secures that early momentum from the break of Isaac. Even though Bubbleman already missed, he still had just enough time to make the score consolidate. It's now 160k, and that is how the map ends. Rose, they had all the chances, Gamil. If they just were a bit more luckier, it would have been a major turning momentum. It would have been 4-2 if I remember correctly, but not gonna be that. So far, both teams, no surprises from either of them, and with that, the tensions are only gonna be boiling more and more with time.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, there was definitely not a very clean victory, but you know, a win is still a win, and closer and closer we get. But moving to the last picks coming in from both of these teams, and again, the pool is thinning out. But I definitely do think that Nation has a thinner pool to pick from, or pool of maps to pick from. I'm still eyeing that free mod 3, and it does look like they will eventually commit to that. Yeah, but on the side of H like Wine, they really have a lot of things to go into, and you know, perhaps they're even spoiled for choice in that sense, right? You have so many things to go into that, you know, what do you really go into, right? Like, it's when you have so many options at your disposal, trying to find the best one is always going to be more difficult. And it's definitely not the same case of Nation, where, you know, we are good at tapping. There's one more map that features tapping as a predominant skill set to be tested. So why don't we just go for that? And we're seeing that play out in the free mod 3 here.
Yeah, for sure. Frima 3, it was a custom from Dachin Masters, I believe, was Noma 2 in quarterfinals over there. So you already know what's up at stake. It's going to be all about your flow aim, actually. Phaser Advert, so, you know, speaking for itself. And overall, I really see the way that Nation could win this. I mean, we've been talking about the strategy throughout the entire match, but it's also just about qualifiers. Even in qualifiers, Babbleman and Fedora Goose didn't perform as great on Noma 2 as they could have. Only got 400 and 300k scores, while Musty didn't even participate. And knowing that now Musty needs to play, that's just gonna put Iris at a very fragile state. While, well, we already know what Team Power can bring in first place on Noma 2 in qualifiers, and so far Team Power has been showing some great performances, great accuracy as well across all the maps that he has played. Even though Noma 2 is gonna be more about your flow, not about your, you know, raw tapping in the same spot, still you need to have that consistency in your tapping hand that I believe Nation definitely does have.
Yeah, we'll have to see if it plays off. However, I do think that the lower SR of this map, or this pool in general, will provide some concessions to H like Wine when it comes to these mechanically intensive maps. But yeah, we'll have to see how it goes. Again, this Free mod 3 really isn't anything to write home about, right? It's a rather standard map, all things considered. Map clocks in at 185 BPM, very, very comfortable BPM for the players that we have in the lobby. It's really just going to be a test of your consistency on your mods, so your hidden and your hard rocks as well. I'm expecting to see a double hard rock coming in from both of these teams. No reason to deviate from the norm. But yeah, at the end of the day, it's just gonna be a mock comfort test. Nothing much to say.
Yeah, absolutely. Only thing we could, kind of discuss, kind of try to predict is the mod combinations, because after all, some of the players will need to have a flow aim with hidden on those streams. Might be kind of a challenging situation here, but well, we should just put it to the test right away as we're finally loading in, seeing the mod combinations. And this time, Iris going for a slightly different one, Musty instead of Harder, going into that HD with Bubbleman, and only Fedora goes with HR, and against a double HR and one HD on the side of Team Rose. And while the map is already gonna greet you with some of those bursts, that should not be a huge issue for the players, especially on the side of Team Nation, that are looking forward to absolutely make Iris crumble on those flow aim sections. But so far, an early opening break from Turkish is gonna set the record straight for Iris, that they have a superior accuracy. Matter of fact, double SS and 99.7% accuracy from all three of them.
Yeah, really bringing the heat from the side of H like wine. I mean, that just speaks to the volatility of a map like this, right? When the map is so accessible, everybody can exemplify some level of comfort.
Whoa.
And at the end of the day, it's just gonna be a battle of consistency, and it seems as though consistency is just not in the playbook of Nation, as we see Tim Power and Isak miss alongside the misses that we've been seeing from Turkish throughout the course of this map. Bubbleman might be able to trade it out, going to, slow the bleeding just a little bit, but it's not gonna detract from the fact that Musty and Fedora Goose on the hidden and the hard rock respectively is bringing the heat, bringing the power onto this 3-mod-3 battlefield here, moving to the second half of the map, and it's already a 300k lead going in favor of Iris.
Yeah, Gamili Rose, they just cannot grab onto any sort of combo now, finally recovering, but look at that. A double FC, finally a break from Fedora Goose, but there is still an SS from Musty. There is nothing you can do at this point. Even if both your teammates have fallen down, Musty is the one to put the blade against Rose's neck, and so far he is not looking forward to let his guard down. Still with an SS, no one can contest Musty on this Noma to finally drop in the first 100, and that Gamili is going to be the first break point into this match. Comboing, having your tapping consistency on Nomad is one thing, on DT is one thing, but when it comes to hidden and hard rock with tapping, that's a whole another story, which Rose were not able to master, while Iris are the ones to flip the script. And with that, 4th point is going to them.
And finally, that's how the tension breaks, right? That's gonna be a 4-3 scoreline. In fact, going in favor of the side of Iris, holding that breakpoint advantage over Nation and having the entire pool at their disposal. Suddenly, Philoxen, this final pick, I mean, as many options as they can get, I don't think they're really spoiled for it anymore. With the security of the tiebreaker in hand, they can really just go with anything they want, right? They could just go with the map that they have the highest team scores in their sheet. And just go for it. Like, there is no need for any sort of strategy. There is no need to think about Nation here, because they have the security of that breakpoint. The world is their oyster.
Yep, could be that. But also, Gamili, I think at this point, when you look at Free-Mod 2, which you won, when you look at... Okay, never mind. I was about to say maybe go into that Nomad 5, which was another gimmick map, which Rose just lost to Iris. But yeah. It seems like HD1 is gonna be a more comforting option for them. Well, still, you're looking at Rose, they ban HD2, so they do not overall want to go into that HD modification pool. But regardless of that, for Iris, that is just the map that they're comfortable on, as you mentioned. We haven't seen maps like that before into this match, but we all pretty much can expect that, well, both Bubbleman and Fedora Goose are going to be more than comfortable on this one. And also looking at Musty, who is really good on HD, as we just saw from that Free-Mod 3, that's definitely given Iris pretty much head start in this map.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, there is a mental hurdle that needs to be overcome here. But honestly, Philoxen, this hidden one pick is rather shocking to me, because on decline of on the kind of maps that I expected H like Wine to pick into, I would not have expected this hidden one because it's a rather accessible mechanic-centric map. Yes, we know that obviously H like Wine did come out on top on the mechanics-heavy free mod map, but at the same time, right, there must have been a better option for them to have gone into, right? I could definitely have seen, you know, I could have. Wait, actually, hold on. Was there a better option? I could have seen
Normal
a Hard Rock 2.
I would say.
Yeah, I would
Normal
say Normal 5 or Hard Rock 2 would have been clearer shouts here. But instead, we're gonna see a hidden one, and I think this hidden one pick is more so banking on the strength of H like one on the hidden rather than the map itself. So it's really just gonna be a matter of hidden comfort, and that's really what the map is testing at the end of the day. On a map as accessible as this one, I think H like Wine are looking to play this gamble. They're looking to play this aggressively because they have the safety net of the tiebreaker in their back pocket. But with that said, let's get into flames within these black feathers. The final pick of this match. We'll have to see how the tables turn.
Yep, in the meantime, shoutouts to the mapper. I believe it was a custom for Rascup from Okai, so
I think this is a edit
that,
actually. Wait, wait, I'm actually not too sure.
Right.
Wait, hold up. Pez, can we call it a Pez here?
it says custom on the main sheet, so
yep, that must be a custom.
That's if this match ends on this custom, I will be happy. If not, we're going to see a tiebreaker, so win-win situation right here. But for Rose, gonna be pretty tragic if they lose to Iris, considering Iris only have 3 players and Rose has a full roster. And so far, same thing is happening once again. Iris is having an early advantage before the first KI. Now it is starting. Maybe there is some hope to see a break from either of these 3 players who are holding above 99% accuracy. Only an early break from Isaac is the thing that's putting them apart. But here comes an opening from Musty, and Rose are still in the game.
Yeah, they're looking for the attack here, but Tim Power is not going to get far with it. He loses that FC, and that's not the miss that you want to see coming in from Nation if you want them to have the advantage here. Musty being the only miss from H like Wine. Yes, he is struggling to get to get the combo back in, but so is Isaac here. But Man is going to trade things up, so now we are standing at equilibrium 1-1 in terms of the FCs. Ivert and Fedora Goose from opposite sides of the lobby are staring down each other, moving into the next off KI section. I say off KI section with a bit of hesitance because even in this section, I mean, the aim is so incredibly awkward, so incredibly spaced, and every now and then you have that little 1/3 sprinkled in. Tim Power is going to be caught out. Tim Power is going to be caught off by that. But again, look at the scoreline that we have right now, right, for Loxon. It's Fedora Goose versus Ivert. If any one of these players miss, if any one of these players from both sides miss, it's instantly going to cause the scoreline to shift. Bubbleman and Musty are quickly trying to bring that recovery back, trying to cushion Fedora Goose's blow here, but still, it's not going to be enough to change the history. It's not going to be enough to turn the tide if Fedora Goose loses this FC here.
Yeah, totally. Ivert, the Finnish top player who doesn't even have that much of a tournament experience, who's relatively new to the scene, is going up against Fedora Goose, the veteran of Austria, and overall has a lot of years of tournaments under his belt. It's gonna be that 1v1 with Bubbleman finding a break that allows Isaac and Power to support over Musty, but the break from Evert is gonna set the deal down Gamili. The last KI is here. Fedora Goose already found the break, but the boat has already sailed off, and Rose, they failed to jump onto it. With that, Iris, it doesn't even matter that there are 2 players down. It doesn't even matter that the OWC champion is not playing with them in the face of Rafis. They still have more than enough in them. They still have aged like wine after all these years, and they are gonna advance to the round of 16 winners bracket.
Yep, I mean, it doesn't matter, right? At the end of the day, you just need 3. H like Wine came into the qualifiers with a limited roster, and they're showing that perhaps, they can look to conceal a little bit of their firepower going into the later rounds. That's going to be a 5-3 victory going to the side of H like Wine, denying that tiebreaker board state. And with that said, that's going to be the seed 16 versus 6-17, closest match on paper of the weekend, being given to H like Wine. Congratulations once again.
Yeah, Gamili, and overall, I think both teams can be pretty much happy about the outcome because Rose, by all the means, they did not play badly. We saw god modes from a bunch of their players, and overall, it was just one break point. It's just really sad that they met right here in the round of 32 because I think both teams had something to show us later into the match if it wasn't best of 9. But with that, um, I'm really excited to see how Nation will perform in losers bracket. While for Age Like Wine, I can only wish them the best of luck as Camille, they're gonna be facing Seed 1 next weekend, and that is the team of A Secret Box, Emmerich, and all the other Australian superstars.
I mean, as you like to put it, right, Philoxen, the best tournament player of the day versus the best tournament player of the past. I mean,
that's
I
surreal.
mean, I mean, you know, it's always a blast watching Res Cup matches here. But yeah, of course, unfortunately, Nation will be dropping down into the losers bracket. Not the end of their story here, and I do definitely think that they will be able to put up quite the show going to the losers bracket of round of 16. But I think that's all the time that we have for today. I do believe that we will be seeing a match in more or less an hour or so at 20 UTC. So do stay tuned if you are interested in checking that one out. But until then, Philoxen, any last words from you before we close off the stream?
No, yeah, that should be it from me, darling. Thank you for asking. But
What?
with that, we're gonna be signing off. This has been Resurrection Cup. The next stream will come in about an hour. There will be a stream announcement from us. But for now, thank you everybody for watching in the commentary booth. You had me, Philoxen. I was joined by Gamili. And with that, have a nice day and stay tuned. Bye.